The beats, the flow, the rhythm. All movements start from the streets. Streets A&R Podcast.
Alagia, how do you feel? This is the 5th annual Juneteenth Joy Fest.
It is indeed. It feels like the 5th. Feels like I need to rest.
I love it. I love it. Such a big deal. But we'll go ahead and get started. This is the Streets A&R Podcast, and I'm your host, CLB. But you guys are used to seeing me, so I got to make it real grand. First and foremost, we have Alagia McKizza, the curator of Juneteenth Joy Fest. I probably should just let you introduce yourself, Alagia. But we'll get to that. We got a whole bunch of questions. But I would also like to introduce Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter, all things, Mereba. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Feeling amazing. So yes, again, Alagia, can you speak to just this year's Joy Fest? How do you feel? Like, what energy are you carrying with you?
Well, I'm really grateful to be here. This is the 5th year. It started in my backyard just down the street from here, and North 24th Street has always felt really special to my heart. And I just have a lot of family legacy in this neighborhood. And so this year I really wanted to honor the matriarch and divine feminine, because I just really am close to the matriarchal side of my family, specifically my grandmother and my mother. And I see all the things that they've sacrificed in their life for me to have the opportunities that I have now.
Yes.
And I don't think we always get to capture those stories. I don't think we always get to honor or uplift or be grateful for their stories until they're gone. So
Right.
I just wanted to honor in that way, because there's so many amazing women in the world taking care of families. There's so many amazing women artists like Mereba out there. So just honoring women today.
That's beautiful. Well, definitely a lot of beauty around here, a lot of femininity. And Mereba, you brought the heat wave with you today. Literally, no pun intended, but I love it. We'll go ahead and jump right in. So Mereba, your music often carries a sense of healing and power. How does the concept of divine feminine show up in your creative process or performances?
I love that. I think in my creative process, it looks like wearing a lot of hats. It looks like sort of, putting my hands into every part of the creative process, because it means a lot to me. And, I feel like we hear making music compared to cooking, but it does feel like that sort of element of it. A little bit of this, a little bit of that,
Yes.
I love that part of it. I think performing, it's like stepping into power. It's that part of the divine feminine that's very grounded and confident and assured. And I love performing for that reason. I feel like I can tap into this almost more primal element to the divine feminine, and how to express myself in a way that connects usually is like rooted in something very, like focused, intense, and has depth to it.
I love that. That's beautiful. As a fan of your music, that element that you bring definitely exudes the femininity, but I'm excited to see you perform. With that, Juneteenth Joy Fest is centered around joy, freedom, and legacy. How do you believe Black women and their divine feminine spirit help shape and preserve those values in our community?
Well, I think, joy, freedom, all of those things to me do come back to togetherness and, feelings of like community and things that I think divine feminine energy contributes to, like so much, just like keeping people together, keeping people nurtured and taken care of, and feeling loved and supported. And so I think that, especially freedom, when I think about freedom and what it takes to feel free as like a people and like within your own daily life, a lot of that comes from, the love of the women in your life and the people who pour that gentleness and that love into our community. So
I love that.
Makes sense to me.
That's beautiful. Is there a song in your discography that you feel most embodies the divine feminine, and what inspired it?
I mean, all of it is inspired by it, in one way or another. That's a good question, though. I think Black Truck definitely does speak to it. I think there's just a strength, a warrior sort of strength that is tapped into that I think reminds me of like women doing a lot of just different things, like bringing life into the world, doing things that are oftentimes unexpected of them, or like I love those sorts of themes in my music. Grit, strength, power, those sorts of elements in it. On my new project, I would say maybe my song Spirit Guiding, because I feel like there's also an element of like closeness to the spiritual world and the spiritual realm that I find to be an important tenet of, divine femininity too. And there are a few songs on this new project that tap into that part. So
yes, excited. And for the young Black girls out there who are inspired by you or just seeking to navigate the lane that you're already in, what message would you share with them who are still learning how to like honor their power, voice, and softness all at once?
Yeah, I think authenticity is always like at the root of most messages that I give when I'm asked that type of question. It's just like, which takes time, understanding yourself from a really honest place and self-aware place does take time, in my opinion. It's different for everybody, but I feel like that's what we crave in the world, is we crave like feelings that feel real and something we've never quite seen before in that way, which I think comes from authenticity a lot of times. And always just building with the network around you, like building with your community, building with the people that you see putting in time and energy and effort into their passions too, and you can really expand together, that's a big one for me, just like learning to lean on people when you need to, and knowing when to take time to yourself when you need to as well.
Right, absolutely. And we would love to sit here and ask you questions all day. We just got a few more for you. But yes, Elijah, I'm going to let her take over with some questions since she is curating this beautiful event today.
Yes, I just also wanted to just take time and just say thank you for coming here. When I first started this event, your music was really like inspiring and affirming to me, and especially like when you dropped the AZEB EP. Is that how you say it? AZEB EP. It just really just gave me the strength and resilience to like believe in myself, believe I'm worthy, and that I could do something. So it's just like a full circle moment to have you after doing it for 5 years. So thank you so much for being here. You started to get into music as a young child, and since we're talking about matriarch, is it a talent your parents noticed in you and cultivated, and do you think it shapes how you show up for your child today?
My mother definitely did. My mother, I would say, is one of those people that is musical by nature, and just I come from a very big family, like everyone could kind of sing a little bit, and she just was already primed to be supportive of anything music, creativity related. My dad was a little more reluctant, but just kind of was more just neutral, like, okay, she just does that sometimes. But I do think it has definitely influenced how I support my son and his endeavors and the things he's interested in, because I do get really excited for him. And I just remember that feeling of it feeling more real because there was one witness to it, which was my mother. Like feeling like, okay, this might could be something, one day, because my mom thinks it's nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then one thing that is also really just inspiring about you is your devotion to your craft. Your song My One has always been fascinating because it speaks to the depths of loving a craft. And there's this picture of Instagram of you recording in your bathroom, and when making the AZEB EP, you shared a video of how many elements were crafted by your voice and your hand strumming instruments or clapping. Can you speak to creative resilience and how you've cultivated it? Is it something you lean into easily, or does it take a while to make it?
I'll be honest and say, as time passes in life, it becomes more of like something that I have to be proactive about. Like, I do feel like as a child, I really processed a lot of my day-to-day life through making something about it, like creating something about it. And then I think, the movements of life and adulting and just, the things, the responsibilities you start having to keep up with, like it's more of a safe space I go to now versus something that's just constantly flowing through me as a way to like think about the world. It's like, okay, I'm living my life and I try to be present in my life as much as possible, especially in this chapter where it's like, I am a mom and like I am, daughter, sister, friend. Like I have a lot of things on my plate, so I try to be present in those things to the point where by the time I do sit down to make music, it's pouring out of me from a different place. Like, okay, I didn't even know what I needed to process through this, but it's almost like, it's a safe space more than a daily practice.
Beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful, yeah. And then I also think of talking about the Azeb EP, just songs like News Come and Another Kin. And those songs almost feel like they could have been made yesterday due to the relevance in our current world. And do you ever reflect on how songs can repeat just as much as time does? And how does it feel to have made those songs a few years ago and then kind of still being relevant to this day?
I love that you asked about those because I've never been asked about those particular songs. I'll say like a lot of my questions that lead to songs are rooted in a level of resistance or questioning the system. And I've just always been like that. I've always been, I guess my anger like translates to music pretty easily for me. So when I'm uncomfortable by something that I witnessed or something that I've, dots that I've connected as a human being, as far as it relates to humanity, like that ends up becoming songs a lot. And I think Azeb really has more of those songs than any of my other projects. As far as it's still being relevant, it doesn't surprise me, unfortunately, because it's only been a few years and I listened to a Nina Simone song or Marvin Gaye song and it's still relevant. Right. So, I mean, I would hope these things are not relevant the further along we go. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I try to make my sound about it. I try to be clear about the fact that I see it too and that I care about it too, and this is my gift that I've been given. We all have different ones as far as how we leave our mark and tell our stories and those sorts of things, but I feel like it's my responsibility to also like just call witness to the things that are happening during my times. And we'll see if they're still relevant in 30, 40 years. Like I said, I hope they're not, but I do think certain disparities are woven into this society. So I won't get too into that, but Yeah,
it's important to acknowledge it though, for sure. Okay, and then we just have two more questions left. How has Ethiopian African American roots shaped your sound or just who you are? And I've always really loved like the folk influence on your sound. It kind of allowed me as like a Black person to feel like just kind of to like reconnect to folk music, because sometimes it feels like certain things aren't yours or you don't see the representation, and I feel like your music has done that for me. And so I'm just curious if like any of your roots have an influence on your like folkness part-ish.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think both. I think being African American is just being like, there's just so many styles of music that originated through us. So, I mean, I would say just naturally speaking, I feel like just picking up a guitar and singing soulfully and singing about my life experience, like it placed me in a history already, like of our people in this country, like just being really true to that of, Black American experience. But also on the other side, like Ethiopian music has a really rich history too. And we have these singers called Asmati, and they're people who essentially play like either a violin type of instrument or a sort of guitar-esque instrument, but it's like native instruments to Ethiopian. They just go around and they sing like from neighborhood to neighborhood, village to village, you know what I mean? Wow. And they tell people stories, kind of like, orators, storytellers. And they'll sing at weddings and they sing at funerals and they know everybody's families and they kind of know everyone's business, but they make it into songs that connect to the community and like kind of inform people of what's going on around the town, So I've also been really inspired by that idea of just like, not really looking at music as this thing of like a self thing fully. It's more like I said, like, how can I just like call witness to what I see every day in life? Like,
Right.
It's about the community that I'm observing as much as it is like my own life and the drama that takes place there, which is plenty. But I also like to sing about other things too,
That's beautiful. Thanks for giving us a peek into that. And then our last question is just moving towards the present. You talked a little bit about Breeze Grow Fire, but could you just tell a little bit more for people who haven't listened yet?
Just like about the album in general.
Yeah.
It's a really gentle, it's a more delicate album. I think it's probably my most just like gentle album sonically. It is really rooted in, like I was saying earlier, in like drum loops, percussive loops, like just things that make you move, but you don't really fully know you're moving. Just that's like a kind of hum of like a drum beat. I feel like just goes throughout the whole project, makes you, puts you in almost like a calm trance, I would say. And it's really inspired by, my friendships, my family relationships really heavily. Definitely inspired by like becoming a mom and that being kind of an unexpected chapter in my life at that time, and just all the things that I had to grow really quickly as a result of, as a result of that. And it's a peaceful listen. I'd recommend it.
I would recommend it too. I've been listening to it so much.
Yes, absolutely beautiful. Now, of course, we could talk to you all day, but you got things to do. You got a stage to hit. Now, I do have 2 more quick questions for you. First question, is this your first time in Omaha?
Yes.
And second question, are you down to come back for another show?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done this one yet, but I have high hopes.
Yes. Eric, you hear that? You hear that? Okay, so we got to get with your management and figure out your rates and all that, but we definitely love to have you back in Omaha. So again, y'all, happy to have Mereba. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, Elijah, thank you so much for putting on another Joy Fest for us. The community definitely needs it, and we're so happy to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. This is Streets A&R Podcast. You can find us everywhere except for Apple. That's Streets ANDR. He keeps saying I messed up, but y'all are listeners. Y'all know where to find us. But again, I'm your girl CLB. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, Mereba. And we are out of here.
Happy Juneteenth.
Yes.
The beats, the flow, the rhythm. All movement starts from the streets. Streets A&R Podcast.